The locker room fell silent as Tyler Chen wrapped his hands for what everyone believed would be his final fight. At 28 years old, this mixed martial arts fighter had lost 6 consecutive matches, each defeat chipping away at his confidence like water wearing down stone. His trainer had stopped showing up 3 weeks ago, his sponsors had pulled their contracts, and the whispers in the gym had grown louder. Tyler was finished. But Tyler wasn't fighting for glory anymore. He wasn't even fighting for himself. In his gym bag, tucked beneath his worn gloves, lay a crumpled medical bill for $43,000. His 8-year-old daughter Emma needed surgery for a rare heart condition, and their insurance had denied the claim. This fight, with its modest purse of $15,000, wouldn't cover everything, but it was a start. Tyler had to win, not just the fight, but somehow find a way to pay for Emma's future. 3 months earlier, Tyler's world had been different. He was climbing the rankings, his daughter was healthy, and his wife Sarah worked as a nurse at the local children's hospital. Then Emma collapsed during a school soccer game. The diagnosis came like a thunderbolt, a complex congenital heart defect that required immediate surgical intervention. The medical team was optimistic about the outcome, but the cost was staggering for a working-class family already stretched thin. Sarah had taken unpaid leave to care for Emma, leaving Tyler as the sole provider. He picked up extra shifts at the construction company where he worked between training sessions, but it wasn't enough. The bills mounted while Emma's condition slowly worsened. The little girl who once cheered loudest at her daddy's fights now spent most days on the couch, her energy sapped by a heart that struggled with every beat. Tyler's opponent tonight was Jake Morrison, a rising star with a perfect record and endorsement deals worth more than Tyler would earn in 5 years. Jake was everything Tyler used to dream of becoming: confident, successful, and seemingly invincible. The media had already written the fight's ending, calling it a showcase for Jake's skills against a has-been desperately trying to stay relevant. As Tyler walked toward the octagon, the crowd's reaction was lukewarm at best. He could see the empty seats that would have been filled for a more compelling matchup. But in the third row, Sarah sat with Emma, who wore a small oxygen tank in her father's lucky shirt from his first professional victory. Emma's pale face lit up when she saw her dad, and she held up a handmade sign that read, "My hero always wins." The bell rang, and Jake came forward with the swagger of youth and success. His combinations were crisp, his footwork flawless. Tyler absorbed punishment, searching for openings that seemed to close before he could exploit them. By the second round, blood trickled from a cut above Tyler's left eye, and the commentators were already discussing the inevitable conclusion. But something shifted in the third round. As Jake pressed forward for what looked like a finishing combination, Tyler noticed something that made him pause mid-defense. Jake's left leg buckled slightly, a subtle hitch that lasted only a fraction of a second. Tyler had seen that movement before in his own mirror after countless injuries. Jake was hurt, probably more seriously than anyone realized. Tyler had the perfect opening. Jake's guard dropped as he favored his injured leg, leaving his chin exposed for a counterpunch that could end the fight immediately. Tyler's fist cocked back, muscle memory taking over from years of training. This was his chance, his family's chance, his daughter's chance. Instead, Tyler stepped back and lowered his hands. "You okay?" Tyler asked during a brief clinch, genuinely concerned about his opponent's condition. Jake's eyes widened in confusion. In a sport built on exploiting weaknesses, Tyler's compassion was as unexpected as a gentle breeze in a hurricane. "My knee," Jake whispered back, his voice tight with pain. "I think it's torn." Tyler could have pressed his advantage. Should have pressed his advantage. The referee hadn't noticed Jake's injury, and Tyler's family's future hung in the balance. But looking into Jake's eyes, Tyler saw not an opponent but a young man facing his own nightmare. Jake was only 22, with his whole career ahead of him. A serious knee injury could end everything he had worked for. The round ended, and Tyler returned to his corner wrestling with an impossible decision. His corner team urged him to target Jake's injured leg, to finally capitalize on an advantage after months of bad breaks. Tyler nodded absently, his eyes finding Emma in the crowd. She was sleeping against her mother's shoulder, exhausted from the simple act of staying awake, her small chest rising and falling with labored breaths. The fourth round began, and Jake courageously continued to fight. Despite his injury. But Tyler fought differently now. He avoided Jake's injured side, focused his attacks elsewhere, and even helped steady Jake when the younger fighter stumbled. The crowd grew confused by Tyler's seemingly passive approach, booing what they perceived as a lackluster performance. With 30 seconds left in the final round, Jake landed a solid combination that sent Tyler stumbling backward. As Tyler recovered, Jake's knee finally gave out completely, and he collapsed to the canvas in obvious agony. The referee immediately called for medical attention, and the fight was stopped due to Jake's injury. Tyler was declared the winner by technical knockout, but he felt no joy in the victory. As medical staff attended to Jake, Tyler knelt beside his fallen opponent. "Hey, you're going to be okay," Tyler said softly. "Injuries heal. You're young and strong." Jake looked up through tears of pain and frustration. "You could have finished me in the third round," he said. "Why didn't you?" Tyler glanced toward Emma, still sleeping peacefully in Sarah's arms. "Because sometimes winning isn't about beating someone else," he said. "Sometimes it's about staying true to who you are when no one's watching." After the fight, as Tyler collected his modest winnings, Jake's manager approached him. Word had spread quickly about Tyler's sportsmanship and the reason behind his financial desperation. Jake, despite his injury, had heard Emma's story from other fighters and was moved by Tyler's sacrifice of a decisive victory to protect an opponent's career. 3 days later, Tyler received a call from Jake's management team. Jake wanted to organize a charity exhibition match once his knee healed, with all proceeds going to Emma's medical fund. But that wasn't all. Jake's sponsors had heard the story and wanted to contribute directly to Emma's surgery costs. The local media picked up the heartwarming tale, and soon donations were pouring in from fight fans across the country who were inspired by Tyler's unlikely victory through kindness. Within 2 weeks, Emma's surgery was fully funded. The operation was a complete success, and within months, she was back on the soccer field, stronger than ever. Tyler returned to fighting with renewed purpose, but more importantly, he had gained something more valuable than any championship belt, the respect of his peers and the knowledge that he had chosen compassion over competition when it mattered most. Jake recovered fully from his injury and went on to become a champion, but he never forgot the lesson Tyler taught him that night. The two fighters became close friends, training partners, and eventually co-founded a charity that helps families facing medical crises. Tyler's victory that night wasn't measured in prize money or career advancement. It was measured in the life of his daughter, the friendship of a former opponent, and the knowledge that kindness can triumph even in the most competitive environments. He had knocked out his doubts not through aggression, but through compassion. Years later, when Emma was healthy and thriving, she would tell people that her father won the most important fight of his life not by throwing punches, but by choosing not to throw one when it would have hurt someone who was already down. Sometimes the greatest victories come not from defeating others, but from lifting them up. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is show mercy when the world expects you to show strength. And sometimes, when we choose kindness over personal gain, we discover that the universe has a way of rewarding compassion in ways we never imagined. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to like this video and share it with someone who needs to remember that kindness is never weakness. Subscribe to Pure Kindness Stories for more inspiring tales that remind us of the goodness that exists in the world, often in the most unexpected places. Because every act of compassion, no matter how small, has the power to change everything.